Marcus Williams stood at the tall glass windows of his corner office, looking down at the busy streets of New Angeles. The city stretched out below him like a living thing, with flying cars moving between the tall buildings and people walking on the sidewalks far below. But his mind was not on the view. He was thinking about the reports sitting on his desk. For the past 3 months, complaints had been coming in about his company. Stellar Dynamics Corporation was the biggest space travel company in human space, carrying millions of passengers between Earth and the 12 colony worlds every year. The company had been his life's work, built from nothing 20 years ago when he was just a young man with big dreams and a small loan. Now those dreams were under threat. The complaints were all similar. Passengers were being treated badly at the spaceports. Some were refused service, others were made to wait for hours while other passengers were served quickly. The worst part was that most of these complaints came from people who looked like him. People with dark skin, people with accents, people who did not fit what some staff thought a space traveler should look like. Marcus picked up one of the reports and read it again. A family from the Mars colonies had been told their tickets were fake, even though they had bought them directly from the company website. They were made to wait in a separate room while security checked their documents 3 times. When they finally were allowed to board, their flight was already delayed by 2 hours. Another report told of a businessman from the Europa mining station who was told he could not sit in first class, even though his ticket clearly showed he had paid for the expensive seat. The staff said he did not look like he belonged there and moved him to the back of the ship. Marcus felt his anger growing as he read each report. This was not what he had built his company to be. When he started Stellar Dynamics, he had promised that space travel would be for everyone, not just the rich and powerful. He had grown up poor in Detroit, and he knew what it felt like to be treated like you did not matter. The door to his office opened, and Kevin Martinez, his assistant, walked in carrying a cup of coffee. Kevin had been with the company for 5 years and was one of the few people Marcus trusted completely. "The morning reports are ready," Kevin said, setting the coffee on the desk. "But I can see you are already reading yesterday's complaints." Marcus nodded and put down the report. "Kevin, we have a problem, a big problem. Our staff are treating passengers badly, and it is getting worse." Kevin sat down in the chair across from Marcus. "I know. The legal department is worried. If this continues, we could face lawsuits. Worse, we could lose our licenses to operate in some systems." "It is not just about the money," Marcus said. "This is about who we are as a company. As humans, we are supposed to be better than this." Marcus had seen discrimination before. When he was young, people often assumed he could not afford things because of his skin color. Store owners would follow him around, thinking he might steal something. Teachers would give him lower grades, thinking he was not smart enough for good scores. But he had worked hard and built something great. Now his own employees were doing the same thing to other people. "I want to see this for myself," Marcus said suddenly. "I am going to the New Angeles spaceport today." Kevin looked surprised. "You want to do an inspection? I can arrange that. The port manager can meet you and show you around." "No," Marcus said, standing up and walking to his closet. "I do not want them to know I am coming. I want to see what really happens when no one is watching." Marcus pulled out casual clothes, jeans, a simple shirt, and old sneakers. These were clothes he wore at home, not the expensive suits he usually wore to work. Kevin understood immediately. "You want to go undercover?" "Exactly. I will buy a ticket like any other passenger and see how the staff treat me. If the reports are true, I will see it myself." Marcus changed his clothes and looked at himself in the mirror. He looked like any other passenger now. No expensive suit, no company badge, no signs that he owned the biggest space travel company in human space. "Book me a ticket on the next flight to Alpha Centauri," he told Kevin. "First class. Use my personal credit card, not the company account." Kevin typed on his tablet. "There is a luxury liner leaving at 3 this afternoon, the Cosmic Dawn. First-class ticket will cost 8,000 credits. "Perfect. Make sure no one at the spaceport knows I am coming." Marcus grabbed his wallet and a small bag. The New Angeles spaceport was only 30 minutes away by flying car. It was the biggest spaceport on Earth, handling over 50,000 passengers every day. Ships came and went constantly, carrying people and goods to the 12 colony worlds, and bringing back resources and trade goods. As Marcus traveled to the spaceport, he thought about what he might find there. He hoped the reports were wrong. He hoped his staff were treating all passengers well, but deep down he knew what he would probably see. The spaceport was huge, with dozens of gates and hundreds of staff working to keep everything running smoothly. Passengers from all over human space walked through the halls, dragging their bags and checking their tickets. But there were also non-humans there, aliens from the species that humans had met as they explored the galaxy. Marcus saw tall, blue-skinned Zentari diplomats walking in groups, their long necks making them easy to spot in the crowd. Near one of the shops, several insect-like cliche traders were examining human electronics with their compound eyes. At a restaurant, a family of crystalline Vorthak were eating carefully, their rock-like bodies moving in slow, graceful motions. What Marcus noticed immediately was how the human staff treated these alien passengers. They were polite and helpful. They smiled and answered questions. They treated the aliens like valued customers. But as Marcus watched human passengers, he began to see differences. Some passengers were helped quickly and treated with respect. Others were made to wait longer or were treated with suspicion. The pattern was becoming clear. Marcus checked his ticket and walked toward his gate. The Cosmic Dawn was one of his company's newest and most expensive ships, designed for wealthy passengers who wanted luxury during their journey between stars. As he walked through the spaceport, he prepared himself for what he knew was coming. It was time to see if the reports were true. Marcus walked through the busy spaceport toward Gate 47, where the Cosmic Dawn was preparing for departure. The gate area was filled with well-dressed passengers sitting in comfortable chairs, most of them reading tablets or talking quietly on their phones. These were wealthy people going to Alpha Centauri for business or vacation. He looked at his ticket again. First class, seat 3A. He had paid 8,000 credits for this ticket, more money than many people made in a month. But looking at his casual clothes and thinking about his dark skin, he wondered if the staff would believe he belonged in first class. The gate agent was a young woman with blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Her name tag read, Lisa Murphy. She was helping an older white man with his boarding pass, smiling and chatting about the weather on Alpha Centauri Prime. Marcus waited in line behind two other passengers. In front of him was a Zentari diplomat, her blue skin shining under the bright lights. The alien was tall and graceful, wearing flowing robes that showed her high rank. When she reached the counter, Lisa greeted her with respect and processed her boarding pass quickly. "Have a wonderful flight, Ambassador," Lisa said with a bright smile. "The captain wanted me to tell you that he has prepared your favorite tea for the journey." The Zentari bowed slightly, a sign of thanks in her culture. "You are most kind. Stellar Dynamics always provides excellent service." Marcus felt proud hearing those words. This was how he wanted all passengers to be treated. But his good feeling did not last long. When Marcus stepped up to the counter, Lisa's smile disappeared. She looked him up and down, taking in his jeans and old sneakers. Her friendly expression changed to one of suspicion. "Ticket," she said simply, not bothering with any greeting. Marcus handed her his boarding pass. She took it and frowned as she looked at it, then at him, then back at the ticket. "This says first class," she said slowly. "Yes, that is correct," Marcus replied calmly. Lisa typed something into her computer, her frown getting deeper. "The system is showing some problems with this ticket. Are you sure you bought this yourself?" Marcus felt a familiar anger starting to build in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Yes, I bought it this afternoon. Is there a problem?" "Well," Lisa said, looking at him suspiciously, "first-class tickets are very expensive. 8,000 credits. Are you sure someone did not make a mistake?" Behind Marcus, other passengers were starting to line up. He could feel them getting impatient, but Lisa seemed in no hurry to help him. "There is no mistake," Marcus said. "I paid for this ticket with my credit card. You can check your records." Lisa continued typing, taking much longer than she had with any other passenger. "The system is acting strange," she said. "I am going to need my supervisor to look at this." She picked up a phone and called someone. While they waited, she kept staring at Marcus like he was a criminal. The other passengers in line were now clearly annoyed, but their anger seemed directed at Marcus, not at the slow service. A few minutes later, a middle-aged man with gray hair walked over. His name tag read, Jake Peterson, Supervisor. He looked at Marcus with the same suspicious expression as Lisa. "What seems to be the problem?" Jake asked Lisa, not Marcus. "This passenger has a first-class ticket, but the system is showing irregularities," Lisa explained. "I think there might be fraud involved." Marcus felt his anger growing stronger. "There is no fraud," he said firmly. "I bought this ticket legally. Check your records." Jake looked at the ticket, then at Marcus. "Sir, first-class tickets cost 8,000 credits. That is a lot of money. Are you sure you can afford this?" The question hit Marcus like a slap. He was the owner of the company, worth millions of credits, but this man was asking if he could afford a ticket on his own. Airline. "Yes, I can afford it," Marcus said, working hard to keep his voice level. "Now please process my boarding pass so I can get on the plane." Jake and Lisa exchanged a look. "Sir, we are going to need additional verification. Please step over to that waiting area while we investigate this." Jake pointed to a small seating area away from the main gate. It was separated from the other passengers and clearly meant for people with problems. "I do not want to wait over there," Marcus said. "I want to board my flight." "Sir," Jake said, his voice getting louder, "if you do not cooperate, we will have to call security. Now please go to the waiting area while we sort this out." Marcus looked around and saw other passengers staring at him. Some looked annoyed that he was holding up the line. Others looked scared, as if he might be dangerous. No one seemed to think he was being treated unfairly. He walked to the waiting area and sat down, watching as other passengers continued to board. A young white woman with a first-class ticket was processed in 30 seconds. An elderly white man with a cane was helped personally by Lisa, who smiled and asked about his health. Most interesting to Marcus was how the staff treated the alien passengers. A group of insect-like cliche traders approached the gate with business-class tickets. Even though they looked very different from humans, with their multiple arms and compound eyes, Jake greeted them warmly and processed their tickets without question. "Welcome aboard," Jake told the lead cliche. "I hope you enjoy your flight to Alpha Centauri." Marcus watched this and felt sick. His own employees were treating alien creatures with more respect than they showed him, a human passenger who had paid full price for his ticket. 20 minutes passed. Marcus watched passenger after passenger board the ship while he sat in the waiting area like a criminal. Finally, a security officer approached him. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and cold eyes. Her name tag read, Amanda Ross, Security Chief. "Sir, I understand you are having problems with your ticket," Amanda said, standing over Marcus in a way that was meant to intimidate him. "No, I am not having problems with my ticket," Marcus replied. "Your staff are having problems with me." Amanda frowned. "Sir, fraud is a serious crime. If you bought this ticket with stolen money or a fake credit card, you could go to prison." Marcus stood up, tired of being talked down to. "I did not steal anything. I bought this ticket legally. Now I want to board my flight." "Sir, please sit back down," Amanda said sharply. "You are being suspicious and that concerns me. If you do not calm down, I will have you arrested." Marcus looked at this woman, this security chief who worked for his company, threatening to arrest him for the crime of buying a ticket while black. He thought about all the times this had probably happened to other passengers, all the people who had been humiliated and mistreated by his own staff. He sat back down and pulled out his phone. It was time to end this charade. Marcus sat in the waiting area and pulled out his phone. He looked at Amanda Ross, the security chief, who was still standing over him with her arms crossed. Lisa Murphy and Jake Peterson were at the gate counter, whispering to each other and looking at him every few seconds. Around them, the spaceport continued its normal business. Passengers walked by carrying their bags. Announcements echoed through the halls about departing flights. But in this small corner, 3 employees of his own company were treating him like a criminal. Marcus pressed a button on his phone and waited. After 2 rings, a familiar voice answered. Kevin Martinez speaking. Kevin, it is Marcus, he said quietly into the phone. Boss, how did the undercover trip go? Did you learn anything? Marcus looked at the 3 employees who were still watching him suspiciously. Oh, I learned plenty. I need you to do something for me right now. What do you need? Call Patricia Hayes, the regional manager for New Angeles Spaceport. Tell her to come to Gate 47 immediately. Tell her it is an emergency and that I need her here in the next 5 minutes. Kevin's voice became concerned. Is everything okay? Do you need security? Marcus almost laughed at that question. No, Kevin. The security here is part of the problem. Just get Patricia here as fast as possible. I am calling her right now. She will be there in 5 minutes. Marcus hung up the phone and leaned back in his chair. Patricia Hayes had been with Stellar Dynamics for 10 years. She was a good manager, who treated people fairly. She would recognize him immediately, and then this whole situation would become very interesting. While he waited, Marcus watched the final passengers board the Cosmic Dawn. The ship was almost full now, and he could see through the gate windows that the crew was preparing for departure. His seat in first class was probably the only empty seat on the ship. Amanda Ross was still standing nearby, talking on her radio to other security officers. Marcus heard her say something about a suspicious passenger and possible ticket fraud. She was building a case against him, probably planning to have him arrested once she had backup. Lisa Murphy came over from the gate counter. Sir, we have been unable to verify your ticket. I am afraid we cannot allow you to board this flight. The flight has not left yet, Marcus said calmly. There is still time to figure this out. Actually, Jake Peterson said, walking over to join the conversation, we think it would be best if you came with us to the security office. We have some questions about how you got this ticket. Marcus looked at all 3 of them. They were so sure they had caught a criminal. They probably felt good about themselves, thinking they were protecting the company from fraud. They had no idea they were about to face the biggest mistake of their careers. I will wait right here, Marcus said firmly. My manager is coming to help sort this out. Amanda frowned. Your manager? Sir, are you claiming to work for Stellar Dynamics? Something like that, Marcus replied. The 3 employees exchanged looks. Lisa rolled her eyes. Great, another passenger who thinks he knows someone important. Everyone thinks they have connections, Jake agreed. It never works, Marcus said. Nothing. He just sat quietly and waited. 3 minutes later, he saw Patricia Hayes hurrying through the spaceport. She was a short woman with gray hair wearing a blue Stellar Dynamics manager uniform. She looked worried and was walking faster than Marcus had ever seen her walk. Patricia reached Gate 47 and looked around quickly. Her eyes found Marcus sitting in the waiting area, and her face went completely white. She stopped walking and stared at him for a long moment, as if she could not believe what she was seeing. Oh no, she whispered to herself. Oh no, no, no. Patricia walked quickly toward the gate counter where Lisa, Jake, and Amanda were standing together. Marcus could not hear what she said to them, but he could see their faces change as she spoke. Lisa's confident expression disappeared. Jake's face turned red. Amanda looked confused. Are you sure? Marcus heard Amanda ask loudly. Patricia nodded and pointed toward Marcus. All 3 employees turned to look at him again, but their expressions were very different now. Instead of suspicion, Marcus saw fear and panic. Patricia walked over to Marcus, her hands shaking slightly. Mr. Williams, she said in a voice that was trying to sound calm but failing. I am so sorry. There seems to have been a misunderstanding. Marcus stood up slowly. Around them, other passengers and airport workers were starting to notice that something important was happening. The 3 employees who had been so confident a few minutes ago now looked like they wanted to disappear. A misunderstanding, Marcus said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Is that what we are calling this? Lisa Murphy's face had gone pale. She was staring at Marcus as if seeing him for the first time. Jake Peterson was looking at the floor, unable to meet Marcus's eyes. Amanda Ross was standing very straight, like a soldier about to face punishment. Marcus walked slowly toward the gate counter. Patricia followed him, still trying to explain. Sir, I am sure there is a reasonable explanation for what happened here. Marcus reached the counter and looked at the three employees. The gate area had become quiet. Other passengers were watching, including several alien diplomats who had seen the whole situation unfold. Let me introduce myself properly, Marcus said in a clear, strong voice. My name is Marcus Williams. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Stellar Dynamics Corporation. The silence that followed was complete. Lisa Murphy made a small, gasping sound. Jake Peterson closed his eyes as if he was in pain. Amanda Ross's face went from white to red and back to white again. Marcus continued speaking, his voice calm but carrying the authority of someone who owned everything around them. I bought a first-class ticket on my own airline. I presented it to your staff. And instead of being treated like a valued customer, I was accused of fraud, forced to wait in a punishment area, and threatened with arrest. A crowd was gathering now. Other Stellar Dynamics employees had heard what was happening and were coming to see. Passengers were taking out their phones to record what was happening. Marcus could see the Zentari ambassador he had seen earlier, watching with great interest. The three of you, Marcus said, looking directly at Lisa, Jake, and Amanda, have just shown me exactly what is wrong with this company. You treated alien passengers with respect. You helped wealthy passengers quickly and politely. But when you saw a black man with a first-class ticket, you assumed he was a criminal. Lisa tried to speak. Mr. Williams, I can explain. Marcus held up his hand to stop her. No explanations. I saw everything I needed to see. He looked around at all the people watching. Employees, passengers, aliens from different worlds, all of them waiting to see what would happen next. Marcus straightened his shoulders and prepared to show everyone what real leadership looked like. Marcus looked at the three employees standing before him. The gate area was now completely silent. Passengers held their phones, recording everything. Other Stellar Dynamics workers had gathered to watch their CEO in action. Even the cleaning staff had stopped working to see what would happen. Marcus walked closer to Lisa Murphy, who was shaking visibly. Her face was wet with tears and she kept opening her mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. Lisa Murphy, Marcus said clearly so everyone could hear. You are the first person passengers meet at this gate. You represent my company to thousands of people every day. Today you chose to represent us with discrimination and hatred. Lisa finally found her voice. Mr. Williams, please, I made a mistake. I was just being careful about security. I can change. Please give me another chance. Marcus shook his head. This was not about security. You processed the ticket of a Zentari diplomat in 30 seconds. You helped elderly passengers with smiles and kind words. But when you saw me, a black man, you immediately assumed I was a criminal. He turned to address everyone watching. Let me tell you what Lisa did. She looked at my valid ticket and decided it must be fake. She made me wait while she helped other passengers. She called her supervisor because she could not believe a black man could afford first class. Marcus walked over to Jake Peterson, who was staring at his feet. Jake Peterson, you are a supervisor. Your job is to solve problems, not create them. Instead of helping a paying customer, you made the situation worse. Jake looked up with desperate eyes. Sir, I was just following procedure. We have to check for fraud. Fraud? Marcus's voice got louder. You asked me if I could afford my own ticket. You told me to sit in a punishment area like a child. Did you ask the white passengers if they could afford their tickets? Did you make the alien passengers prove they belonged in first class? Jake had no answer. Marcus continued speaking to the crowd. This man saw a black passenger with an expensive ticket and decided something must be wrong. He did not check for fraud. He checked for the color of my skin. Finally, Marcus walked to Amanda Ross, the security chief. She was standing at attention, like a soldier, but Marcus could see fear in her eyes. Amanda Ross, Marcus said. You are the head of security for this spaceport. Your job is to keep passengers safe, not to threaten innocent people. Amanda tried to maintain her professional appearance. Sir, I was responding to a report of suspicious behavior. I was doing my job. Marcus laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Your job? You threatened to arrest a paying customer for buying a ticket. You stood over me trying to intimidate me. You accused me of crimes I did not commit. He turned to face the crowd again. This woman was ready to put me in jail because I insisted on boarding a flight I had paid for. She saw a black man refusing to be pushed around and she decided I was dangerous. Marcus walked back to the center of the gate area. The Cosmic Dawn was still at the gate, its departure delayed by all the drama. Passengers and crew were watching through the windows. I want everyone here to understand something, Marcus said in a voice that carried across the entire area. Stellar Dynamics Corporation operates in 12 star systems. We carry passengers from dozens of different species. We are part of a galactic community where humans work alongside aliens who look nothing like us. He pointed to the Zentari ambassador, who was watching intently. We treat alien customers with respect because we know they deserve it. But today, 3 of my employees forgot that humans also deserve respect, regardless of the color of their skin. Marcus pulled out his phone and pressed several buttons. Patricia, please record what I'm about to say. Patricia Hayes, the regional manager, held up her tablet to record. Her hands were still shaking from the shock of what she had witnessed. Marcus looked directly at Lisa Murphy. Lisa Murphy, you are fired. Effective immediately, you no longer work for Stellar Dynamics Corporation. Your security clearance is canceled. You are banned from all company facilities. Lisa broke down completely, falling to her knees. Please, Mr. Williams, I have a family. I need this job. I will do anything. Marcus's voice remained firm. You should have thought about your family before you decided to treat customers badly because of their race. He turned to Jake Peterson. Jake Peterson, you are fired. Your supervisor privileges are revoked. Your company credit cards are canceled. Security will escort you from the building. Jake's face turned red with anger. This is not fair. I was just doing what I thought was right. What you thought was right, Marcus replied, was discrimination. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Finally, Marcus looked at Amanda Ross. Amanda Ross, you are suspended without pay, pending a full investigation. If the investigation shows you threatened passengers without cause, you will be fired and blacklisted from all security positions in the transportation industry. Amanda's military bearing finally cracked. Sir, please reconsider. I have 15 years of security experience. I was just being cautious. Marcus stepped closer to her. You were not being cautious. You were being racist. There is a difference, and you know it. Marcus turned to address the entire crowd one more time. I want everyone here to remember what happened today. I want you to tell your friends and families. Stellar Dynamics does not tolerate discrimination of any kind, against any person, for any reason. The Zentari ambassador stepped forward. Her tall blue form moved gracefully through the crowd. Mr. Williams, she said in her melodic voice, I witnessed everything that happened here today. I will report to my government that humans are willing to hold their own people accountable for injustice. Marcus bowed slightly to the ambassador, showing respect for her position. Thank you, Ambassador. That means a great deal to me. A cliche trader, one of the insect-like beings, also approached. His multiple arms moved in a gesture of approval. The Cliche Trade Federation will hear of this. You have shown that humans value fairness over prejudice. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. These alien beings had watched humans treat each other badly, but they had also seen justice served quickly and firmly. Patricia Hayes approached with 2 security guards. Sir, these officers will escort the terminated employees from the building. Marcus nodded. Make sure they understand they are never to return to any Stellar Dynamics facility. As Lisa and Jake were led away, both crying and pleading, Marcus felt tired but satisfied. The hard part was over. Now came the work of making sure this never happened again. The crowd began to disperse, but many passengers approached Marcus to thank him. The alien dignitaries made formal statements of support. Other employees promised to do better. Marcus had turned a moment of shame into a demonstration of leadership, but he knew this was just the beginning. Marcus stood in the gate area as the last of the crowd began to move away. The cosmic dawn was still waiting at the gate, its departure delayed by over an hour. But Marcus was not thinking about the schedule anymore. He was thinking about what came next. Patricia Hayes approached him carefully. "Mr. Williams, what would you like me to do about the flight? The passengers are getting restless." Marcus looked at the ship through the large windows. Inside, he could see passengers in their seats, some reading, others talking quietly. They had all paid good money for their tickets, and they deserved to reach their destination. "Board the flight," Marcus said. "But first I want to speak to everyone on the ship." Patricia looked confused. "Speak to them? About what happened here?" "Yes. They all witnessed what happened. They deserve to know what their CEO thinks about discrimination." Marcus walked toward the boarding gate. The flight attendant, a young man named Chris Baker, recognized him immediately and stepped aside with a respectful nod. Marcus entered the ship and walked to the front of the passenger cabin. The interior was beautiful, with comfortable seats and soft lighting. This was one of his company's finest ships, designed to show passengers the best of human space travel. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus said in a clear voice that carried throughout the cabin. "My name is Marcus Williams, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Stellar Dynamics Corporation." The passengers looked up from their books and conversations. Some recognized him from news reports, others looked surprised to see the company owner on their flight. "I want to apologize to all of you for the delay in departure. The delay was caused by an incident at the gate involving discrimination against a passenger." Marcus paused and looked around the cabin. He could see passengers of different races, some aliens and humans from various colony worlds. "That passenger was me," Marcus continued. "I was traveling undercover to see how our staff treat customers. What I found was unacceptable." A woman in the third row raised her hand. "Were you really treated badly because of your race?" Marcus nodded. "Yes. 3 employees assumed I could not afford my ticket because I am black. They accused me of fraud, made me wait in a separate area, and threatened to have me arrested." An elderly man near the back spoke up. "What did you do about it?" "I fired 2 of them and suspended the 3rd. Discrimination has no place in my company or in human society." A Zentari diplomat in first class stood up gracefully. "Mr. Williams, many species watch how humans treat each other. What happened today showed both the worst and best of your people." Marcus bowed to the diplomat. "You are right, Ambassador. And that is why I want to make changes that go beyond just firing bad employees." Marcus moved to the center of the cabin so everyone could see him clearly. "Starting tomorrow, every Stellar Dynamics employee will undergo mandatory training on how to treat all customers with respect, regardless of their race, species, or appearance." Several passengers nodded approvingly. A young woman asked, "What kind of training?" "They will learn about unconscious bias, the way people make quick judgments based on appearance. They will practice treating all customers the same way. Most importantly, they will understand that discrimination is not just wrong, it is bad for business." Marcus continued speaking, his voice growing stronger with each word. "We will also create a new system where passengers can report discrimination anonymously. Every complaint will be investigated by an independent team, not by the managers at each location." A businessman in the expensive suit raised his hand. "What about employees who report discrimination they see? Will they be protected?" "Absolutely," Marcus replied. "Any employee who stands up against discrimination will be rewarded, not punished. We will create special bonuses and promotion opportunities for people who demonstrate the values we want to see." A cliche trader clicked his mandibles together, which was their way of showing approval. This is good policy. The cliche have similar systems to ensure fair treatment. Marcus smiled at the alien passenger. "Thank you. We have learned much from working with other species about fairness and respect." Marcus walked toward the back of the cabin, making sure to make eye contact with as many passengers as possible. "But I want to talk about something bigger than just company policy. I want to talk about what it means to be human in a galaxy full of different species. The cabin became very quiet. Even the flight attendants stopped what they were doing to listen. When humans first met alien species, we were afraid they would judge us harshly. We worried about our history of war, slavery, and discrimination. We thought other species might not want to work with us. Marcus paused at a row where a human family was sitting next to a crystalline vorthak. The alien's rock-like body glowed softly in the cabin lights. But you know what we discovered? Every species has made mistakes in their past. Every civilization has had to learn how to treat others fairly. What matters is not that we made mistakes, but how we fix them when we find them. A teenage girl asked, "So other aliens have had discrimination too?" The Vorthak passenger's body pulsed with different colors, which was how his species communicated emotion. "Young human," he said in a voice like grinding stone. "My people once believed that only Vorthak with the brightest glow were worthy of leadership. We learned this was wrong. Intelligence and wisdom come in all colors of light." Marcus nodded gratefully to the alien. "Exactly. Today, what those 3 employees did was wrong. But what happened after? The swift justice, the commitment to change, the support from passengers of all species. That shows the best of humanity." He moved back toward the front of the cabin. In the galactic community, humans are known for many things. We are explorers, traders, innovators. But I want us to be known for something else, as the species that refuses to accept discrimination, even among our own people. The Zentari ambassador stood up again. "Mr. Williams, I will report this incident to the Galactic Council. Not as a complaint, but as an example of human leadership in fighting prejudice." Marcus felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, Ambassador. That means more to me than any business success." A man in the middle of the cabin called out, "What happens now? How do we know these changes will really happen?" Marcus pulled out his phone and showed it to the passengers. "I am sending a message right now to every Stellar Dynamics facility in all 12 star systems. By the time we land on Alpha Centauri, every employee will know what happened here and what we expect from them going forward." He typed quickly on his phone, then looked up. "The message is sent. 6 million employees across human space now know that discrimination will not be tolerated." As Marcus finished speaking, the ship's captain came on the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have been cleared for departure. Please prepare for launch." Marcus walked back toward the exit of the passenger cabin. Before leaving, he turned for one final word. "Today, you all witnessed something important. You saw humans hold other humans accountable for their actions. You saw justice served quickly and fairly. This is the standard we will maintain, not just in business, but as members of the galactic community." The passengers began to applaud. Humans and aliens alike showed their approval for what they had witnessed. Marcus smiled and headed toward the exit, knowing that word of this day would spread far beyond this single flight. 6 months later, Marcus sat in his office looking at reports that made him smile. The numbers on his computer screen told a story he had hoped for, but never expected to happen so quickly. Stellar Dynamics had just posted the best financial quarter in company history. Revenue was up 40% from the same time last year. More importantly, customer satisfaction scores had reached the highest levels ever recorded. Kevin Martinez knocked on the door and entered with his morning coffee and a tablet full of news reports. "Boss, you need to see this," he said, setting the tablet on Marcus's desk. The screen showed a news report from the Galactic Broadcasting Network. The headline read, "Stellar Dynamics named preferred transport company by Zentari government." Marcus read the article quickly. The Zentari Empire, one of the most powerful governments in known space, had signed an exclusive contract with Stellar Dynamics for all diplomatic travel. The contract was worth 2 billion credits over 5 years. "This is incredible," Marcus said. "What did they say about why they chose us?" Kevin smiled and scrolled down to a quote from the Zentari Prime Minister. She said, and I quote, "Stellar Dynamics has proven that humans will fight discrimination wherever they find it, even within their own ranks. Such integrity makes them the only choice for representing Zentari interests in human space. Marcus felt proud but also amazed. 6 months ago, he had fired 3 employees for discrimination. Now that action was bringing his company the biggest contract in its history. There is more, Kevin said, pulling up another article. The Cliche Trade Federation announced yesterday that they are moving all their cargo shipping to our freight division. That is another billion credits in annual revenue. Marcus looked at the numbers again. When he had gone undercover that day, at the spaceport, he had been worried about losing business because of discrimination complaints. Instead, his swift action had made Stellar Dynamics the most trusted human company in the galaxy. Kevin sat down and pulled up more reports on his tablet. The training program has been a huge success. Employee satisfaction is up, customer complaints are down 90%, and we have had 0 discrimination incidents since the new policies started. The training program had been Marcus's biggest change after the incident. Every employee now attended monthly sessions on treating all customers fairly. They learned about different alien cultures, human diversity, and how to recognize their own unconscious biases. What about the reporting system? Marcus asked. The anonymous reporting system has been used over 3,000 times, Kevin replied. Most reports were about small issues that got fixed quickly. Employees are catching problems before they become serious. Marcus was especially proud of this system. Any passenger or employee could report discrimination without giving their name. A special team investigated every report within 48 hours. Problems were fixed fast, and employees who reported issues were given bonuses. Here is something interesting, Kevin said, showing Marcus another article. Universities across human space are now teaching case studies about what happened at the spaceport. Business schools are using it as an example of good crisis management. Marcus laughed. Crisis management? I was just doing what was right. That is exactly why it is being taught, Kevin replied. Most companies try to hide discrimination or make excuses. You faced it directly and fixed it immediately. Kevin pulled up another report that made Marcus's eyes widen. The Vorthak Science Council announced they are moving their research conference to Alpha Centauri next year specifically because they trust Stellar Dynamics to transport their scientists safely and respectfully. The Vorthak were some of the most advanced scientists in the galaxy. Their annual conference brought together the greatest minds from dozens of species. Having them choose human transportation was a huge honor. How many passengers is that? Marcus asked. 50,000 scientists from 30 different species, plus their equipment and research materials. It is the largest single booking in company history. Marcus stood up and walked to his window. Down below, the city of New Angeles bustled with activity. Flying cars moved between buildings carrying humans and aliens going about their daily business. It was a scene of cooperation and diversity that made him proud. His phone buzzed with a message. It was from Patricia Hayes, the regional manager, who had been there during the incident 6 months ago. Mr. Williams, the message read, I wanted you to know that Lisa Murphy and Jake Peterson both applied for jobs with our competitors. Word has spread through the industry about what they did. No major transport company will hire them. Amanda Ross is working security at a small cargo depot on the edge of the solar system. Marcus felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. He was glad that their actions had consequences, but he also felt sorry for them. They had let prejudice destroy their careers. Kevin interrupted his thoughts. Boss, there is one more thing you need to see. This just came in from the Galactic Council. Marcus turned back to his desk as Kevin pulled up an official document with the seal of the Galactic Council of Species. They want to give you an award, Kevin said, unable to hide his excitement. The Galactic Peace Prize for promoting interspecies understanding. Marcus read the document carefully. The award was given every 5 years to someone who had made significant contributions to cooperation between different species. Previous winners included alien ambassadors, peace negotiators, and famous scientists. They are specifically recognizing your actions at the spaceport, Kevin explained. The council said that showing justice within your own species demonstrated human commitment to fairness for all species. Marcus sat down heavily in his chair. When he had gone undercover, that day. He had just wanted to see if the discrimination complaints were real. He never imagined it would lead to galactic recognition. The ceremony is next month on the neutral world of Harmony Station, Kevin continued. Representatives from all 47 member species will be there. Marcus thought about that day 6 years, months ago. Lisa Murphy's suspicious looks, Jake Peterson's discriminatory questions, Amanda Ross's threats of arrest. At the time, he had been angry and embarrassed that his own employees would treat people so badly. Now that incident had become something much bigger. It had shown the galaxy that humans were serious about equality and justice. Other species saw that humans would hold their own people accountable for discrimination. You know what the best part is? Marcus said to Kevin. What is that? Marcus smiled and looked at the reports on his desk. We are not just making more money or winning awards. We are actually treating people better. Every passenger who flies with us now gets the respect they deserve, regardless of what they look like or where they come from. Kevin nodded. That is what real success looks like. Marcus picked up his coffee and walked back to the window. Somewhere, out there in the vast network of ships traveling between star systems, millions of passengers were being treated with dignity and respect. Humans and aliens traveled together as equals, working toward a better future for all species. What had started as a moment of shame had become a source of pride for all humanity. And that, Marcus thought, was the most human thing of all. The ability to learn from mistakes and become better because of them.